That's my baby. I'm dying.
That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left, beat left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Sports Hounds, exclusively here on A2DRadio.com. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Frank Vesby's producing the show. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, Instagram. You miss anything on A2D Radio, download us wherever you get your podcast. Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Takeover Talk. We're absolutely everywhere. We're brought to you each and every Monday by our doc, make them yours too, Dr. Paul Vidal, specialized physical therapy, 2 convenient locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. He's our doc here at A2D Radio, make them yours too. Also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use A2D for 20% off your order at Body Check Wellness. The big show tonight, lots coming together in the sports world. We got the MLB trade deadline will be at the forefront of our conversations tonight. I know the Mets and the Mets and Braves are in a doubleheader right now. We have AL East action here on ESPN, Toronto, Boston. So we're going to break down the trade deadline, who should buy, who should sell, maybe project a little bit these races down the race. We'll have some fun with it. The NBA draft is Thursday, Brad. We'll get to that.
Big trade in the NBA, by the way.
A big trade in the NBA. The Pelicans and Grizzlies have a trade. Looks like the Grizzlies are loading up on established guys to surround Ja Morant.
Yeah, the rebuild is over in Vancouver. Excuse me, in Vancouver. Oh, crap.
You little white chocolate, Jason Williams.
In Memphis, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, they're coming. And the draft is going to be good for both our teams. In New York, you have the Knicks. You got a couple of picks. You have superstar guys requesting trades left and right. You know, can the Knicks make a splash and really get themselves back, really make the Garden the place to beat in New York again? We'll see. Obviously, the Phillies, the Sixers, you know, they have the Ben Simmons cloud over their head. What's Daryl Morey going to do? How are you going to get this team to an Eastern Conference final? Because I just watched a point guard in Drew Holiday. I was told couldn't be part of a championship roster, and he's got a ring, and the Sixers still can't get past the second round.
Oops.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm confused somewhere. I don't understand. The process was a failure, and hopefully Thursday night can be, you know, the
beginning of
steps, the new
beginning of a new process.
Yeah, it's like we had the Old Testament, and now we got to go to the New Testament and try again. So, and then Brad, we're gonna have some hockey talk as well. We officially
free agency, I believe, begins Thursday.
We officially have a new hockey team in the NHL. Seattle Kraken,
who, by the way, are going to be awful.
They're going to be awful.
That if you saw the players that they picked up, that's not a good hockey team.
Well, they didn't. I don't think they maximized like what they could have gotten in the expansion draft whatsoever.
No, they went at it by getting a lot of cheap and expensive players. And for the most part, young players, and they mixed it up with Giordano and Gore.
Like, I don't understand. Shouldn't they have just used the blueprint that the Las Vegas Knights set forth? I mean, they're almost in the cup almost every year. They've only been a team for 3 years.
I would have done that. I mean, you know, they had a chance to pick up some real good. It's not easy to pick up top-notch players for free. Okay, I mean, yeah, you have to spend the money anyway.
Right.
And supposedly they were allowed to go up to the salary cap to get some guys, and yet they didn't get. They really, I mean, if as a hockey person, I would be disappointed if I'm a Seattle fan. They don't know anything about hockey, obviously, but if you look at their roster, they could have done so much better. I mean, there was some real good talent out there, and they kind of just let it slip away. I mean, Ron Francis didn't really make any side deals. You know, he had a chance there to pick up some real good players. Yeah, they're a little older, and yeah, they may have cost a little money, but you know what? A lot of them weren't on term for more than 3 years. I mean, to me, they blew an opportunity to actually be real good right now. So we'll see. I mean, you know, it's hard to build with a young team when you're first coming in the NHL. They're gonna end up taking their licks. They'll be a good defensive team, but they're going to be a typical expansion offensive team. They're not going to be able to score.
Boy, I never even heard of the guy they picked from the Flyers.
I never heard of him either. I don't know. I have no idea who that guy is.
I think he had 2 goals last season. I don't know
where
I was. I mean, in fairness, I did kind of check out on the Flyers towards the end. So if he was getting, you know, some mop-up minutes because the team was out of contention, I might have missed him. But
the Flyers lost loose change. They lost loose change. That's all they lost.
Like, you could have grabbed Voracek. You could have grabbed, I think Ghost was unprotected.
They could have grabbed him or Ghost. They could have grabbed Van Riemsdyk. You know, I mean,
Van Riemsdyk's vastly overpaid, but I don't understand why they're pinching pennies when they don't have a payroll at all.
Exactly.
That doesn't make sense.
I found that really surprising.
Overpay Voracek for 2 years. Get something out of him. Give your fans a watchable product.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Yanni Gourde's a good player. Nobody's saying he's not. Okay, the guy they picked up from the Islanders, he's a good player too. But I mean, Eberle's good.
Eberle, they got Eberle from the.
They could have done better than that. I mean, they really, to me, they had an opportunity to be a real good team. They could have picked up Tarasenko. I mean, that was just stupid not to get him. Stupid. You pick him up, okay, and if he's real good, you could always trade him and get more draft picks if that's the way you want to go. But to not pick him, I mean, that's just silly. That's not a good way to build a team. You pick him, and you know what? If he's really good and you're threatening to make the playoffs, that's not a problem. That's a good thing. So I don't get it. I think they did a very bad.
It's the process, Brad. It's the process. It's ruined professional sports. Sam Hinkie and the Philadelphia 76ers ruined the competition aspect of professional sports. Because I say this all the time. Every time one of these major pro teams figures out they can't win the championship, which is drastically at one end of the spectrum. They don't even care about making the playoffs. If they can't win a championship and they can't contend for a championship, they throw it away. They tank. They trade all their assets to try and get new assets and then win a championship that way. That's not how you do it. Not how you do it.
It's very hard to do that. It's very hard to do that.
You have to be flawless. And look at what happened. The Sixers didn't draft anywhere near good enough to justify the process. And now they're in the same position they were to begin with.
Well, they do have a superstar center. I mean,
it doesn't matter. I'm results oriented. I don't care they have Joel.
I know, but I'm just saying at least they have.
You lost in the second round with Drew Holiday. You told me it wasn't good enough and you were never going to win the championship. It's like 10 years later now, and you still can't get past the second round, and you embarrassed myself, the fan base, the city, the game of basketball for 5, 6, 7 years?
Well, and they did
it's a total joke.
They did it to a point where the entire draft system had to get changed.
It was blatant and malicious.
Yeah, I mean, when they started drafting guys and stashing them in Europe, I mean, so they could be bad again and again and again. I mean, you know, I'm amazed that the fans actually showed up at all those years. And, you know, credit to the Sixer fans for showing up back then, because they did show up.
Well, you know what they did, Brad? They would always be changing the jerseys, and like they would always have like a new motto, and they would always have the coolest graphics when they're announcing the players. Like they did stuff like that, and that kept the fans' interest. And then
I mean, you know,
Philadelphia was so brainwashed by the process, Brad, that like they thought it was cool. Like it was like, oh, we're winless for Wiggins. We're not gonna win any games. We're gonna get Andrew Wiggins, and he's gonna be awesome, and we're gonna be winless for Wiggins. Wiggins, you didn't get Wiggins because you didn't even win the draft lottery that year.
No.
Flaw number one with tanking in the NBA. You're not guaranteed anything. And Andrew Wiggins didn't do anything, hasn't done anything to me to live up to that draft type we had.
Not even close. Not even close.
So, like, these prospects, you're tanking for these prospects that it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to know if an 18-year-old kid's going to blossom into a $100 million basketball player. It's hard.
Yeah, you don't know if these guys are going to be that good.
Was Steph Curry the first pick in the draft?
No.
How many good players were not the first pick in the draft?
Most of them.
Most of them.
Most of them.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk?
I mean, listen, there are plenty of first-round picks that ended up being really, really good players.
Like, it's a total joke. I hope that they can
move Ben. Having the first pick doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. There's not – how often is an Abdul-Jabbar out there to pick first? Okay? That doesn't happen all that often. I mean, even Michael Jordan, the great Michael Jordan, what was he, the third pick?
He was third.
Yeah, he was the third pick. I mean, you don't know. Kobe Bryant was sixth.
He was. I think he was like 16th. I think he was closer to 20.
No, I thought he was sixth, and then he was traded to.
Maybe that's possible.
He was traded from the Charlotte.
For Vlade Divac.
Yeah. I mean,
what a terrible trade.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought that was a terrible. Everybody thought that Kobe was going to be good.
I guess not the Hornets.
No, well, that was a ridiculous.
I'm just hoping that the process can rejuvenate itself into intelligence and competency. So I don't have to be such a miserable about the Sixers, because the Sixers, I don't know if I can forgive them for this. I don't know if I can forgive them for wasting 7 years of my life like they did. I don't know. My relationship with the Sixers as a Philadelphia sports fan is rocky at best.
You have to be willing to accept trading Ben Simmons, not getting what you think he's worth.
I don't care. You can get a box of balls for him. I don't want him on my basketball team at all.
You may not get equal value as far as the whole package because he's a good defensive player and he's a good passer, blah, 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 blah. But if you can get yourself a solid point guard, it doesn't have to be great. Just a solid point guard and a good shooter for him. That's really all you need. You've got.
Wait, you think you're getting 3 assets for Ben Simmons?
Yeah, you can get a couple of decent assets for him.
You're gonna get a starting caliber point guard and a first round pick, I think. For example, would be CJ McCollum and whatever pick Portland has. They made the playoffs, so it's not that great.
I could see that, but I mean, you can't think that he's going to be part of a Lillard trade. That's not going to happen. They're not going to want.
Sixers fans are. It's really sad how delusional they are. You're not getting Dame Lillard in a Ben Simmons exchange. And then if you have to trade Ben Simmons, Maxey, Thibault, and a bunch of first-round picks, I'm not doing that. That doesn't get you close to a championship. I know it looks sexy on paper with Dame Lillard and Joel Embiid, and that's a hell of a combo, but trading all those assets for one guy isn't going to make – look at what the Nets did. Look at what the Nets did. A big three of –
because when you do that, if one of them gets hurt, you're screwed. Because
are people really going to sit here and tell me that Lillard, Tobias, and Joel Embiid is a better big three than Durant, Harden, and Kyrie Irving? There's no shot.
No, they're not. And
Durant's a monster.
Let's be honest though with Brooklyn, they were a little unlucky. I mean, if Durant's foot was an inch further back on the line, that 3-point shot wins the game and probably wins the series.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how close it was. So if you're a Brooklyn fan, you're looking at it that you were inches away from a championship, and you can't kill yourself over that.
That's what sports is. It's game. It's a championship.
Right.
Championships are decided over inches.
But they're a good team. They'll lace them up, and they're going to come back next year, and they're going to try to be as good as ever.
Yeah, if they get a better supporting cast around the big three. Sorry, those big three and Joe Harris is not good enough to win the championship. Damian Lillard, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid is not good enough to win a championship. But if Brooklyn 8-9 guys.
But if Brooklyn goes and re-signs Dinwiddie and has a little depth, that
I
could
mean,
be,
we'll see
that
how
could
that
do it.
we'll see how that shakes out. I don't understand how Brooklyn's going to have any money.
Well, they can do it because he's on their team, so they can resign him and go over the cap to resign him. But I mean, that's another discussion for another day. Getting back to the Sixers, I think that they if they can keep their senses about them and just have their eyes set on what they need to do to win a championship and not go for sexy names, just go for solid players. I was reading that they're interested in Reggie Bullock as a free agent who could come cheaply to them, and he's a good shooter. You know what? He's not a starting player. The Knicks, of course, had to use him as a starting player because they just didn't have enough guys, on the team. But if you use him coming off the bench, he's a good shooter. He's the kind of guy that would help them. He would also help Boston. I'm sure Boston is going to be looking at him too. But these are the kind of players the Sixers.
That's who's going to. We're going to wake up Friday morning and Dame Lillard's going to be on the Celtics.
Oh God!
And I feel it in my bones.
God forbid. Because
the Sixers are competent, or the Celtics are competent. They're a well-run organization. Brad Stevens is going to know what he needs to do to get over the top in today's NBA.
As the coach, he knows exactly what he needs.
And they're going to somehow have Lillard, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum.
I wouldn't count on that, though. I wouldn't count on that. Somebody else could be aggressive. I mean, Indiana could be aggressive. They've got some money to burn.
Yeah, but Dame Lillard is not going to the Pacers. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. He's probably going to want to go to a big market team.
Dame Lillard's going to get traded to wherever Dame Lillard wants to go. He's a good enough player where he can dictate this. If he wants to go to the Knicks, they're going to work it out and get him to the Knicks. If he wants to come to Philly, Lakers, Boston.
Don't forget the Clippers.
The Clippers. I think the Heat would be in the mix for that as well.
Yeah, I think he wants big market. He wants to go where the glitz is, and I mean, you can't stop that from happening. If that's where the guy wants to play, then that's where he's going to play. Interesting about what's his name, the guy on the Clippers right now, Leonard.
Yeah,
just a little thing about him. He may miss the season next year.
Right, he's got to get his ACL.
Right, so that could be like a Durant thing. If somebody signs him, they'll be playing for the following season and not this season. So, see who'd be interested in doing something like that. That would be an interesting move.
Well, we'll get into that later. Let's get into the trade deadline, Brad. Friday, 4:00, MLB trade deadline. It's been relatively quiet thus far. The Mets acquired Rich Hill. Obviously, Tampa.
Very, very good move for the New York Mets.
Yeah, I don't really understand why Tampa Bay is trading a starting pitcher when they have World Series aspirations.
That I don't understand either.
Do you know what it leads me to believe? That Tampa Bay either has insider information on Rich Hill.
No, I don't think that. I think that they figured that they have some pitchers in the minor leagues who they think can come up and help them and do what they did last year as far as having enough guys in the bullpen to go out and win. I think that's what they're doing, and they always seem to be able to do this.
Option B, Brad, is they know something about the Mets prospects that they got, that they're like the next Roberto Clemente or something.
You know what? From what I heard, the Mets didn't really give up much of anything to Tampa Bay.
Why even do it? I don't even understand. They're just going to bullpen it. They think they're going to bullpen it.
It is
through the whole playoffs.
Well, no, I do think Tampa Bay's got something up their sleeve as far as bringing in a pitcher. I think they're going to go out and they're going to get themselves a good pitcher.
Who?
I mean, that's a smart. Listen, Rob, that organization knows what they're doing.
Yes, they're very smart.
Yeah, I would never doubt anything they do. I think the point with Hill is that they probably felt that he's not good enough to beat an American League playoff team. I just don't think they think he's good enough. I think they're looking at it that way. I mean, in the National League, and I'm not. Okay. This isn't about beating up the National League. The bottom line, though, the National League does not have lineups.
Rays are in the AL East. What are you talking about?
Who?
Rich Hill. He's been pitching the AL East all season. What do you mean beating up on National League teams?
What I'm saying is he would be more effective in the National League because he gets to pitch to weaker lineups. than he is with it. He got off to a terrible start. Then he got red hot. The last few weeks, he has not been as good as he was before. He's kind of been slumping a little bit. So I think the Rays figured he's 41. Let's get rid of him while there's still a market for him. And the Mets, of course, desperate for pitching because, I mean, I read here Troy H. Rays may get Berrios. That's always a possibility. I mean, the Rays are smart. Don't ever underestimate that team. There's always something there.
I'm trying not to. That's why I'm kind of not like really crushing them. Like I can really crush people.
Nah, I wouldn't
over this. But Brett, I hear you on Rich Hill's a better fit in the National League because they don't have to face the DH. I get all that. But like, who's replacing Rich Hill? Who's going to pitch? Someone better than Rich Hill? They have someone better than Rich Hill that they're ready to insert?
Maybe they do. I mean, they know their team better. They also are probably working on deals. They'll get somebody. You know they're going to get somebody. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the Rays went out and brought in Scherzer. I mean, I know that's not being mentioned, okay? But I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. That would be their one move, their one big move. I could see them doing that. You know,
all right, let's get to our poll question.
They let a lot of money go in the offseason, so they've got money to spend.
Our poll question tonight brought to you by Sunrise Detox. Many of us and our families deal with mental health and addiction issues. We are happy to support the counseling center at Sunrise Detox. If you need mental therapy or addiction detox, please call 856-651-8117. Ask for help. Tell them Rob Brinkman sent you. Tell them the Sports Hound sent you. Tell them Tommy Arnone sent you. We get you hooked up to Sunrise Detox Center. Our poll question of the night is the Philadelphia Phillies should buy at the trade deadline. I'm hopping right in on this. This is a hashtag agree in all capital letters. This team has no choice but to go for it at the deadline.
Absolutely.
You can't lay back. You're paying Bryce Harper $330 million. You're paying JT Realmuto $125 million. Zach Wheeler's getting a bunch of money. Andrew McCutchen's making a bunch of money. It's a shame that every guy in the bullpen that you sign is either a complete failure or gets hurt, but you have to go for it. What are you going to do? Sell? Who are you going to sell? What are you going to get?
They're not. The Phillies are going to be all in. I mean, I from what I've heard, they've opened discussions with Washington, but it's going to take some doing for them to be able to get some players to get a guy like Scherzer from Washington. I mean, you know, you're looking at other teams such as the Yankees, the Red Sox, Houston, Oakland, the Mets. I know the Mets are going to be in this because they want a pitcher real badly because we don't really know what's going on with DeGrom. The fact that they've kept it so quiet makes me believe that there is something a lot worse with DeGrom than what anybody's telling us right now. Plus the Dodgers, you know, no Bauer. You know, we don't know what the deal is with Bauer. From what I heard, the players can't stand him and they don't want him back. We don't know about Kershaw, what the deal is with him or if he can stay healthy. Really, I mean, they can't win with just Buehler and Urias in there as their two starting pitchers.
Mookie Betts is banged up for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers are going to be in it.
And you know the Dodgers have problems. This is why the Phillies aren't going to. Rizzo's really smart. We just talked about the Rays being really smart. Like Mike Rizzo down in Washington, their general manager, he's really smart too. Like,
listen, if he was to trade, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, Rob.
I don't see him trading with someone in the division, Max Scherzer, in my opinion. Right. I think he's going to trade them. He's going to trade Max Scherzer out of the National League completely to I'm hoping I would bet if I had to bet if Max Scherzer was going to get traded and I had to bet on where he would go, I would bet Houston.
I bet maybe San Francisco.
But I don't think he's going to trade him. And I mean, I don't know. That would be a big, big splash move for the Giants.
But the Giants can afford it. The Giants can have money. They're a big market team. They can make a move like that. You know,
I don't see Max Scherzer coming to Philadelphia is all I'm going to say. But the Phillies should absolutely buy at the deadline. I want Starling Marte. Really,
I think he's eminently gettable.
I think he's extremely gettable. And the Phillies and the Marlins, they have a history of trading, even though they're both in the same division. They completed the JT Realmuto trade. a few years back. So there's something there in terms of chemistry and being able to work together and get something done. I cannot watch. Look, you're not going to the playoffs, even in a stinky division like the National League East with Odubel Herrera in center and Butch City, Andrew McCutchen in left field. Like, I'm sorry, bless his heart. He's got some pop in him still, but he's hitting 225. He can't play left field. He can't do it. He's got to go be a DH if he wants to prolong his career.
I don't know. I don't think he's a good enough hitter anymore to do that.
You might be right. He might be a bench guy, or maybe he should just retire because he was.
By the way,
great.
Getting back to the Rays, they did make one big move already.
Yes, they were able to acquire Nelson Cruz.
That's what I'm saying. If they can get Nelson Cruz, if they had enough money to go out and get Nelson Cruz, who says they can't be in on a guy? The Rays, of all teams, Rob, the Rays have the prospects to go out and make that trade.
They're the best at developing players. But this is why the Phillies paint themselves in a corner at every trade deadline when they need to be buyers, because they're pot committed on all these free agents. Is they don't have a good enough farm system to get something substantial done.
Rob, the problem for the Phillies is that if it's not necessarily that as much as if they're going to make a trade with their farm system, they're going to have to give up their top prospect. Right. I mean, prospect 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That's fine by me.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, but that's what they're going to have to do. And I don't know that Dombrowski would do that. Dombrowski has no problem trading prospects. We saw that in Detroit. We saw that in Boston. So we know he has the guts to do something like that. Absolutely. But
Brad, you got to give to get. Dave Dombrowski is smart enough to understand. You got to give to get. If I have to give up my numbers 2, 2, and 4 prospects for Starling Marte, I'm doing it.
Well, you won't have to do that for Starling Marte. I'm
Whatever.
More along the line
I'm
of
just make it. I mean, they're not getting Scherzer. Rizzo's not going to trade with the division. He's not. Scherzer's not going to the Mets. Scherzer's not going to the Phillies. I'll bet you anything you want right now. He's going. Maybe if he goes out west in the National League, maybe that could work. But I would expect Rizzo to charge a National League team a higher price than American League team.
My gut says the Rays, Houston, or the Red Sox, unfortunately, and that would really, really be the end for the Yankees this year. Not that the Yankees really have much of a shot anymore, but I have, and you're right. You're right about Houston. I just get this sick feeling that Houston's going to find a way to get them.
Yeah, Houston. I think that they're going to be in the World Series.
Unfortunately, well, if they got Scherzer, they will be.
That would ice it. But if I had to pick a team right now to represent the American League in the World Series, I think I would bet on Houston. I think they're better than Oakland.
Do you think that they're? I think they're better than Oakland too. But do you think their top 4 pitchers are good enough?
I don't know, but I don't think Boston's top 4 pitchers are strong enough either. And
that's true. But if Boston
the Rays just traded a starting pitcher to the Rays. I know you get Nelson Cruz, but I don't see enough innings for them to. They don't have enough innings. They don't have enough innings in their pitching rotation to get through all the way to the World Series at a 162-game season. 60-game season, yeah, that worked for them last year. But Glasnow's out, and you're just going to bullpen it until mid-October. I don't know. Obviously, something can happen between now and Friday. They got Berrios or something like that.
But I will guarantee you the Rays will pick up somebody. There's a lot of teams right now that you have to try, and I do want to start in the National League East because I think that's the most interesting division out of all of them right now. Because I think you've got the Mets who will do whatever they have to do to try to win this division because it's there for them. And
if the Phillies, I'll tell you, I got news for you. I'm pounding the Starling Marte is my guy. That's who I want for the Phillies. And then I've been talking about Robbie Grossman for months on this program. If you got me those 2 guys, obviously Robbie Grossman is whatever. That can't cost you that much. Starling Marte is going to cost you a little something. Then I'll put Grossman in left or Marte in left and the other one in center. And I have more speed. I have more athleticism. I have better defense. And guess what? I have better offense too. I can't watch left field and center field just be just a vast black hole of just averageness. You got to upgrade somewhere. And I want Alec Bohm.
Here's one for you, Rob. Here's one for you. That Minnesota and Byron Buxton have broken off negotiations. He should be back pretty soon.
I don't want to trade for a hurt guy. I don't want to trade for. I need someone who's.
But he's gonna be back.
Yeah, and then he'll be right back on the DL. Brian Buxton's always hurt.
He's a heck of a center fielder though.
He is, which is it's a shame he always gets hurt.
Max,
no, I want
Max
Starling
Kepler.
Marte.
Max Kepler.
No, he's.
I don't like him either, but
he's not. I'm telling you, if the Phillies get Starling Marte and Starling Marte alone, I guarantee you, here on this program, they win the National League East.
I think they need another pitcher.
I think the Mets are frauds, and I think that Atlanta just doesn't have it with no Acuna for sure now.
It would be tough for the Braves to get there. I would agree, but they're still hanging in there. I mean, I give them credit, but
obviously the prediction is contingent upon what the Mets do, which will probably be something.
Oh, listen, the Mets are going to be all in, Rob. Their owner is willing to spend the money. In the New York market, the Mets kind of have the have the stranglehold on the Yankees right now, and they can win over a lot of fans by making the playoffs and making a run. Because a lot of believe it or not, even though I'm not that way, okay, there's a lot of New York fans who are basically the Chamber of Commerce. They go with whichever team is winning.
Gotcha.
So you're gonna have a lot of fans that'll just sway from the Yankees over to the Mets, and the Mets will take over the New York market. So they have a chance to do it now because.
But what do you think they're gonna do? You think because I would be okay with the Phillies getting Chris Bryant as well.
Oh yeah, well, why would you want him?
Well, I think he'll cost way more than.
But he's a
Starling Marte. I understand he's a rental.
He's a rental. He's still.
I understand that. See,
the thing is with these rentals, the rentals are only going to cost you maybe your top prospect. So it depends on who your top prospect is, and if you want to give him up for a guy like him. I
don't even know who the Phillies' top prospect is, nor do I care. If that's what it takes to get me Chris Bryant or Starling Marte, I'm in. I would play Chris Bryant in.
I put him in left.
I would put him in left field, and I would sit McCutchen down.
Yeah, McCutchen.
And then I guess you'd be stuck with Herrera in center field, unless you trade for my man Robbie Grossman out in Detroit.
That's possible. It won't take a lot to get him from Detroit.
And then I don't know. And then if I get my dream scenario of Robbie Grossman, I don't even know if they're actively shopping Robbie Grossman.
With the Tigers?
Yeah, I don't.
Listen, the Tigers, other than that young pitching staff, they're not going to trade away anybody from that young.
No, you don't think they're going to hold on to Akil Badeau?
No,
that guy's a beast, man.
I said from the pitching staff. I'm not talking about
Robbie Grossman is an outfielder.
Badeau is an outfielder too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not.
Badou's great. I have him on one of my fantasy teams. He's awesome. Yeah,
he's not. I don't think they're going to trade him either. But I mean, if you're talking about some of the veteran players that they have, I think I could see some of these guys getting moved.
Now, I've also read interesting rumors out of Kansas City, that Whit Merrifield can be had. Whit Merrifield is outstanding. It's going to take a lot to get a guy like Whit Merrifield because he's under control for 2 more seasons.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a guy you're going to have to trade your whole farm system for. That would be 4 of your top prospects.
I might do it though. He's that good.
Yeah, no, I know he is, and you know what? He's the kind of guy. If you got him, you could probably re-sign him.
Well, so I got him in left field. I got him at second base. I'll put him in center field. I don't care. Yeah, I'll put Chris Bryant in center field if I get him.
Listen, Whit Merrifield is an athlete, and I think we can both agree.
Such a good player.
The Philadelphia Phillies are not athletic enough right now.
No,
they just don't. I mean, they have a couple of outstanding athletes on their team. I mean, Bryce Harper is a great athlete, no question.
Yeah, JT's excellent as well. But past that, I wouldn't say any of them are athletes.
Didi's a good athlete too, but the problem is, I think Didi. I mean, just watching him and watching.
Boy, Didi's been brutal, Brad.
Yeah, I think Didi is Didi's kind of is past his prime now.
Well, that sucks because we got him for $18 million next season.
Well, you never know. He could be just having a bad season because he's had so many injuries too. I mean, that's.
But Brad, his glove is not there at all.
Yeah, he just seems to have lost a step. So I mean, I don't know with him. Yeah, you'll have a chance. You'll have a chance next season if you want to get another shortstop. You'll definitely have your chances. There's a zillion of them out there that are available.
Yeah, but we're paying Didi next year.
You could always put him at second.
Well, then Segura. What am I going to do with Segura? He's my only 300 hitter.
Put him at third. Hasn't he played third before?
Yeah, I guess you could play him at third, but then that means Alec Baum, yet another failed Phillies prospect. They'll have to.
But is he good? Is Baum really good enough to be a primetime player?
No, I don't think so.
So that's. I mean, he comes off the bench and make him try to win a job. I mean, that's
he's like the 12th. He's like the 12th pick in the draft, though, Brad. Like,
listen,
just can't play.
A lot of guys don't.
Yeah, but every guy in the past 5 years, we've had a first overall pick that just not bust would be an understatement.
Oh,
saying Moniak was a bust is just like an insult to busts. He's he can't play. He visibly can't play. Adam Hazley was the 7th pick in the draft out of Virginia. Visibly just can't, not even an inkling of a star in those guys. And now if Baum is going to be a bust too, I mean, what are we doing?
It's too early to think that. But if you're the Phillies right now, I think you got to go after. I agree, you need an outfielder, but I would definitely try to get a starting pitcher.
Maybe the Pirates closer, Rodriguez, that could be a guy as well.
I thought he was on Colorado.
Richard Rodriguez. I mean, they have a closer with a bunch of saves out there in Colorado.
Yeah, the guy in Colorado is
Daniel Bard.
Oh, Bard. Okay, I get those two confused all the time.
Rodriguez, Kimbrel. I mean, everybody's going to be in on these guys though, because
everybody
needs
Kimbrel's the big fish right now.
Kimbrel's having an outstanding season, and you know what? If they come away with Kimbrel at the deadline,
another red hot guy right now is Soto on Detroit.
That would be. I like that.
I mean, he's another one. He's one of those under the radar guys.
I hope Dave Dombrowski is watching our program right now.
Yeah, I would hope so. He not that we know more than he does, but these different ideas you can throw around.
Maybe not Dave Dombrowski because he's won a World Series everywhere he's been. He brought an expansion team to a World Series. Maybe not him, but some of these guys I know more. I could build a better team than some of these guys. So could you. So could anyone here at A2D Radio.
Yeah, I think
Chuck's
you're right.
good. Chuck's is smart. Chuck's Manahan, Birds of a Feather tomorrow at 8 o'clock. He'll tell you right to your face. He doesn't know anything about baseball. He would do a better job than some of these GMs. For example, the Pirates GM, Brad. The Pirates are awful for baseball. They're awful.
Not even trying to win.
But they just trade Adam Frazier to the Padres. Who are you going to build around? Okay, you traded Josh Bell because he wasn't your guy.
Brian Reynolds.
You have Reynolds in center. You have a second baseman. You have Cabrian Hayes, who looks like a real player. He's dealt with some injuries, but has all the tools to be a good player. You have a closer at the back end. You got stuff to get the ball rolling. And if you pick good and you get some under the radar signings, look at the Tigers this year. The Tigers are vastly overachieving because they sign guys like Robbie Grossman. They develop guys like Casey Mize. So next year at spring training, there's going to be excitement around the Tigers in spring training.
And Detroit will spend the money once they've got some of the pieces filled in. They'll spend. And
you know what? The Tigers have a lot of pieces, but great. So
I like their young pitching staff. I really do.
The Tigers, but the Pirates have nothing, and they're just always recycling. They're old. Now you're recycling second base. In the winter, you recycled Josh Bell. You traded Tyler Glass now and Austin Meadows for Chris Archer.
Yeah, I know.
Come on. That's terrible for baseball.
By the way, Jamison Tyon, I don't know if anybody's noticed. He's been pitching very, very well.
And you had him too. Like that's a borderline playoff team.
Yeah, I mean he's. It seems like he's finally, got his arm strength back. He's been very good. He pitched brilliantly on Saturday.
I would hire Chucks to build a baseball team before I would trust whoever runs the Pirates to build a baseball team. It's just like it's pathetic. Something needs to be done about the Pirates.
Is it?
Remember how what's his name? Adam Silver stepped in and we're like, Sam Hinkie, like you're not running it anymore. Here's the Colangelos. You're done embarrassing my league. This is ridiculous, and it's done, and it's over. And I applaud Adam Silver for that because it was a mockery and it was a joke and it was an embarrassment. That's what needs to happen with the Pirates. I mean, this guy's going to win the batting title or lead the league in hits, whatever he's about to do. Start in the All-Star game.
I know.
Like, you're just going to restart with prospects. What are you building towards? Like, if you're a small market team like the Pirates or the A's or the Rays or something like that, you got to be building to something. You got to have a big chart in your office and be like, okay, it's 2021 now. In 2025, I think this guy will be ready. This guy over here will be ready. We don't really know what's going here, so we'll have to fill in there. You should have the blueprint in 2025 or whatever year you decide we're going to be a playoff team and we're going to contend and we're going to be knocking on the door for a World Series. The Pirates aren't doing that, and it's wrong, and it's bad for baseball, and some type of competition committee has to step in and tell the Pirates enough is enough.
What about Brian Reynolds?
What do they do? What do they do? But what do they do with the money that they get from the Yankees and the revenue sharing scheme?
They put it in their pocket.
That's wrong. That's not what it's for.
That's what
not what it's for.
What they're doing.
It's not what it's for. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
We know. I'll tell you, Kansas City, they're an interesting team. They spent some money to try to be competitive this year. Unfortunately, they just don't have the pitching.
They have nobody.
But at least they tried.
Correct.
At least they tried. Nobody could get on them and they've got some guys that they can trade to get some good young arms on that team. So hopefully they'll do something along those lines. But well,
that's why you put Merrifield out there. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
because he's 32. You're going to get a lot for him because he's under team control for 2 more years at probably a pretty reasonable salary. So you're going to get someone's top 2 or 3 prospects.
You're going to get a ton for him because he's one of these guys that he can play second base, he can play the infield or the outfield. He can steal bases for you.
5-tool player.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
average power, speed.
He's not going to hit 40 home runs, but 20 to 25 home runs. So he'll steal you 30 bases, maybe more if you let him. That's the kind of player he is. There's really nothing he can't do.
It's just clown. It's just clown shit. And then there's a certain portion of sports fans that think what the Pirates are doing is genius. And that's all the Sixers' fault, and that's all Sam Hinkie's fault, and I hate them for it. I don't know if I can ever support the Sixers with my time and money ever again. I really don't. They've ruined the mentality of pro sports, that to the point where if you can't win a championship, you just lose on purpose and try and kick the can down the road and just process it up.
Yeah, a lot of teams have kind of done that, and it is sad. I look at Baltimore, Rob. What's Baltimore doing?
Not much.
I mean, it seems like they're another team that, Cedric Mullins this year has developed into a real good player. But
they have Mancini, and Austin Hayes looks like a decent pebble. That Mountcastle, that guy looks like a monster. So
yeah, but he hasn't done all that much this year.
But he's a young player. He's shown me at least that he belongs in the Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he's got some. And
Cedric Mullins belongs in Major League Baseball. Trey Mancini belongs in Major League Baseball. John Means, their pitcher.
Trey Mancini's going to get traded. He's not going to stay there.
Well, we'll see. If the Orioles want to do that nonsense like the Pirates are doing, then I won't have any respect for the Orioles either. And that would be a shame because the Orioles and the Pirates were once, they're established franchises in this league with tradition and history. Absolutely. Cal Ripken, Roberto Clemente, and they're just like lost puppies right now. I mean, it's sad.
The Pirates were just such a force for a long time. But I mean, ever since like the '90s, I mean, it's been year after year. Every time they get somebody good, they let them go. Whether it's Bonds or Bonilla, the list can go on and on. Now it's Adam Frazier. I mean, a guy who could possibly win the batting championship this year. I mean, the list goes on with them. They just let so many really good players just go.
All right, so back to the poll question. I'm a hashtag agree. Philly should absolutely buy whatever you can.
I would too.
Don't trade anyone. Like, you take the draft this year and you just start the farm system from there. Anyone else that wasn't drafted this year is up for grabs to get guys in here to make the playoffs. You can't sign Bryce Harper for 13 years and sell. You can't sign JT Realmuto for $125 million and sell. You can't spend all that money on Zach Wheeler and sell. Aaron Nola pitched great yesterday. Absolutely fantastic. He had like 85 pitches through the seventh inning. He pitched a gem, and the Phillies were able to come back on the Braves and win 2-1. He had a split with the Braves. It's another run for Boston. Boston up on Toronto 2-0. But you gotta buy Dombrowski. He's got it. And you know what? It's a shame that Dombrowski doesn't have much to work with because Matt Klintak and the clowns that were running the farm system before he even got here didn't do their job, Brad.
No.
But Dave Dombrowski, he's got to make something happen. He's got the name. He's got the pedigree. He's got a big market. I hope he has a supportive owner in John Middleton, but I'm not sure about that. I guess we'll see after Friday. You got to make something happen. You can win this division with a splash move.
If he's willing to take on money, then that is Middleton, of course. I think Dombrowski can do something. But that's what's going to have to happen. He's going to have to if they take on some money, perhaps they can get a couple of salary dumps and clean up some of the areas that they need to get cleaned up. I mean, there are some players that can be had. I mean that's the thing.
There's a million guys you could trade for.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Berrios would be.
Who's on the Diamondbacks right now? Who's on the Twins right now? Who's on? I guess you can get Brian Reynolds for not that much. He's an all-star.
I mean, Maeda you think Maeda would be traded? I guess he could be traded, right?
He's on the Twins, right? They're not going anywhere.
No, I mean Maeda, Berrios. I mean, I would think that those are two pretty good pitchers that could get traded. I mean, for sure. That guy Rogers, their reliever, he could get traded too.
I think there's going to be a flurry of moves.
Yeah, I think
flurry of moves leading up to Friday, 4 p.m.
For the Phillies, if they don't have enough guys in the farm system to trade, then it's going to be something where they're just going to have to be willing to add money. Because if you add money, money seems to cure a lot of things as far as that goes. So if they're not afraid to add money, I think they can make the moves that need to be made to put them in a position to try to make a run at this thing and try to win the division.
You're 4 games out. You're right there.
Exactly. And you know what? The Mets are banged up. The Mets have to make some moves too. I mean, really, I think at this point, the winner of the trade deadline is going to be the team that makes the playoffs in the NL East.
And I think it's only a 2-horse race. I think it's only going to be the Mets or the Phillies.
Yeah, at this point, I would have to agree.
I don't put stock in the Braves. I don't put Washington's too far back, I think. And Miami's just they just don't have enough talent.
No.
Even though they always seem to beat the Phillies every time they play them. Jake Friel's in the house. What's up, boys? He agrees to the poll. The Phillies should be buyers at the deadline. They have no choice. You can't pot commit, say you have stupid money, buy Bryce Harper, buy Zach Wheeler, buy JT Realmuto, and then, bitch out at the trade deadline. You got to make something happen. You got to show why you're a 2-time World Series champion. Sorry, 3 times. Is it 2 or 3 times?
2.
2.
2.
Tommy Arnone's in the house. He absolutely agrees. They don't have a choice, kind of echoing the sentiments of both of us.
Yeah, I think the thing is with the Phillies right now, they're a 500 team. Okay, and they've shown signs, just like all 500 teams, they've shown signs that they can be a playoff team, and then at other times they've looked like the bottom of your shoe, just like a lot of 500 teams. All it takes really is a couple of sparks on your team to get on a roll, and if they can get on a roll, they're certainly not that far behind the Mets. The Mets are not going to run away from anybody unless they're able to make some drastic moves. I think DeGrom is a lot more injured than anybody wants to admit right now. We don't know what's going on with Syndergaard. Carlos Carrasco, we don't know if he's coming back either. They say he is, but they've been saying that for months now. Do the Mets, is Stroman good enough to get them into the playoffs?
No, this is why the Mets are about to tip over. You got to give them one final push. Taiwan Walker, and Rich Hill, and this kid McGill, who they call. Who, by the way, I think he's pretty good. I think he's a keeper for them. McGill, are these guys good enough to win the division? Especially, maybe if they had some overpowering offense, but their offense. Alonso is heating up. I'll admit that.
Yeah, but Lindor is not. Lindor is out till probably the middle of August. That's a big loss for them. What are their other guys?
One of the top 5 players in the whole league.
Yeah, I know, but they have gotten literally nothing out of Conforto this year. J.D. Davis has been hurt most of the year, but now J.D. Davis is back. Conforto is barely hitting over 200. Are these guys going to carry the Mets and be able to? Are they going to be able to win a division? Listen, Alonso has done a great job. He's a big time player. We all know that. He's every bit of a big star that you could want if you're the New York Mets. He's a phenomenal power hitter. He's one of the best power hitters in baseball. So you got that. You got that going.
That's all they have. That's all they have in their lineup
right now. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. They got a few pests in the lineup, but it's not like their lineup really scares you.
That's why the Phillies. You got to go get me a new outfield. Get me a new outfield.
Well, outfielders.
And I think they win. I think they win the division.
Outfielders.
Don't even add a pitcher. Don't even add a pitcher. Get yourself.
No, you got to get another pitcher, Rob. You can't have.
I disagree. I can't watch the quality of baseball I've been watching from this outfield all season and expect to get me to the playoffs.
But you got to get yourself.
I need someone to grow a set in my bullpen and get guys out.
What about
this bullpen is just screaming. Someone's just got to be like, I want to be the closer of a Major League Baseball team. I want closer money down the line. Give me the fucking ball in the 9th and let's fucking go. But no one's doing it. No one's stepping up. Someone's got to step up.
Zach Eflin, though, Rob, is he gonna be back soon?
I haven't heard anything definitive. So that's never really good.
You can't win by throwing Wheeler and Nola out there, and then hoping your next three pitchers.
Yeah, but I can do it. Takes a lot of pressure off the starting pitcher when you go out in the first inning and put up a 3 or 4 spot.
Yeah,
and you talked about a spark earlier. If the Phillies want to win this division, Harper he's got to be the spark.
Yeah,
he's got to have a run. He's got to have a run here down the stretch that puts him in the MVP conversation. That's what you paid him for. That's what we need.
Agreed.
So,
and Real Muto has to get red hot too. That's those two guys.
Yeah, but Harper, Real Muto, Harper, when he's going good, it can be infectious for the whole team. I don't necessarily think that's the case with JT Realmuto. If Bryce goes on a hot streak, it's going to have a bigger ripple effect than if JT Realmuto's on a hot streak.
Bryce can carry the team, but he's going to need somebody else to help him out. Realmuto is
Don't you understand? It's all contagious. It's all hitting's contagious. Chemistry in baseball, it's a real thing, and it's contagious. If the best player, the guy who's getting the biggest check every week or every 2 weeks, however they do it, is the catalyst, everyone's gonna fall in line.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. What do you want to do about the bullpen, though?
Pray. Yeah, I'm just, I don't know. I can't go into the deadline and expect to get my outfielder, a third baseman, a starter. I can't get everything. So I need to prioritize and set my expectations realistically. I want Sterling Marte. That's my guy.
I think if you get him and either you can't strengthen, you don't have enough farm system to strengthen your starting pitcher, your starting pitching, and and the back end.
Above all else, I'll take the guy who's going to play center field every day, not every fifth day or not when you're winning.
That should be your top priority, but you also have to add a pitcher, whether it's a good reliever.
Brad, they don't have the goods. They don't have the inventory to make multiple moves like that.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be Craig Kimbrell. I mean, as we had talked before, a guy like Soto, maybe Hollins from the Royals. Some of there are guys out there that you can get cheap enough that you don't have to go blowing your whole farm system for.
I don't know. I hope you're right. I would love to add a back end guy in Starling Marte.
Yeah, it doesn't. As I said, Kimbrell may be unrealistic because there's a lot of teams that are going to want him, and it's going to take a lot to get him. But that doesn't mean you can't try to get a guy like Holland or a guy like Soto. These are two guys that could definitely help your ball club.
Troy H. checking us out on YouTube. Thanks for checking us out, Troy. Phillies need pitching ASAP. I mean, he ain't lying. Troy H. The Rays might get what's his first name? Berrios.
Jose Berrios. Thank you.
I don't know how good he is.
Well, I'll tell you what. Against the Yankees, he's always terrible. But it just seems like against the rest of the league, he's pretty darn good. So,
strikeout guy for sure.
Yeah.
Greg Milakovic, he's in the house. He agrees with the poll. Philly should buy. If you want them to sell, I really want to talk to those people because, what are you doing?
Well, if you want them to sell, my question to the people who want them to sell is, who is it that you want them to get rid of, and for what?
Well, the team is littered with guys I can't stand and want to see out, but I can't change the whole roster and also expect to win a division that 1,000% can be at. Look, I can't stand Rhys Hoskins. I was at the bar watching the Phillies game the other night. He made the last out at third base. I almost threw my beer bottle at the TV and broke it. That's how mad I got. I stood up out of my seat. I slammed my beer on the bar, and I was screaming my head off. The Eagles just blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl.
I had two of those moments this past weekend with the Red Sox.
I can't stand Rhys Hoskins, Brad. I can't stand them. But, he's quietly put together good power numbers, which is what I begged him to do. But, you just watch him play. It's just he does none of the little things. Rhys Hoskins does none of the little things to help you win. He doesn't defend. He doesn't run the bases. He's not a good athlete.
But he hits home runs.
He can pop it out of the ballpark every once in a while. But, I mean.
Yeah, but you're not gonna trade him for minor leaguers. You're not going to get.
I would want him. I would want a baseball trade for Rhys Hoskins. I would want.
Right. Which could happen. Trades like that do sometimes happen.
Odubel Herrera, Brad. I talked about him. Yeah. I can't stand Odubel Herrera.
The perfect example of a real trade happened in the NHL this past weekend.
Yes.
Okay. Where the Flyers traded Voracek for Cam
Atkinson.
Atkinson. That's a real trade. That's not a sell. That's nothing else than we want to change things up. The Phillies could do something like that too and try to maybe catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, those kind of trades. those kind of trades don't happen all that often anymore. But they could try a trade like that too. I mean, the only guy they could realistically trade and get a lot for would be Gene Segura.
Like, I don't think Alec Boehm's any good, Brad. Like, can I get someone else's? Like, can I get like a veteran, established guy for Alec Boehm? Like, I would probably do that.
You might be able to. I mean, see, there could be some general manager who loves him. I mean, you don't really know.
I guess what my point is either that it's a guy I love that I think can help win a division and maybe even a championship one day, or it's guys that I can't stand and 1,000% can't help me win a division and it can't help me win a championship. Gene Segura is probably the only guy in like the middle because he's a 300 hitter, but like he has problems with hustle and he's a knucklehead.
But he's got almost a batting title type of average this year.
Like Didi Gregorius is killing this baseball team this year. He's killing them, Brad.
I think he'll snap out of it, though. I do think he'll have one of his patented hot streaks, and he'll be okay.
We need it now, not in a month. We need it now, and he's got to stop making errors. He's 9 errors on the season, and he's been hurt a lot. So that's a big number. That's a big number based on how many times
the injuries. I think the injuries have really hurt him this year for sure. That's definitely.
I understand, but I could maybe look past him not hitting because I know that happens with him sometimes if he was fielding the baseball, but he's not fielding. To have 9 errors at shortstop right now for how little he's played this year
that's a lot.
Is a ton of errers.
Yeah,
he's killing this baseball team.
One guy that you're getting a whole lot out of, which I'm glad to see because I always liked him as a Yankee, is a Ronald Torreyes.
Torreyes? That's Girardi's boy.
For you. That's Girardi's boy from the Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's playing good. I can't.
He's a pest. He's a pest. He's the kind of guy. He's the kind of guy, and I don't think the Yankees have been the same team without him. He's the kind of guy that sparks the team because he can steal you a base. He can play anywhere on the field. He's a pretty good hitter. Listen, he's not going to hit a lot of home runs, but he'll crack some singles and doubles in the clutch. You know, he's not going to walk a lot, but he's a plus defender at almost every position. The only position I don't think he's a plus at is maybe third base because I don't think he's really a third. I don't think he's a good third baseman, but he's a plus defender at short. He's a plus defender at second. You know, and he's a pretty good player. He can hit and he can run. He can run like the wind.
He can. I like that, and that fixes some of your
and he's
athleticism problems too. I have no complaints over Ronald Torreyes.
In the National League, you need players like that because you need pinch hitters coming off the bench. You know, when you're making switches. You know, when you have to pinch hit for your pitcher and then you have to take a guy out, you can put him in, or you can put him in as a pinch runner and he'll steal you a base or two. I mean, guys like that are valuable players. He's been a nice.
Like I can move. Maybe I should be moving Gene Segura to third and putting Torreyes at second every day.
Well, second is his best position. I can tell you that. You know, when he played for the Yankees, he's very good second baseman.
Let's get some more comments here. Greg Milakovic, he agrees the Phillies should buy to the poll question. Brian Wilson's in the house. Troy H. Phillies need Marte, big impact back for the top of the lineup. Yep. That's my guy, Starling Marte. That's who I want. That's who I think helps this team the best. And I think if you get Starling Marte, I think that puts you over the top for a division championship. I really do. And I understand there's problems with the rest of the teams, specifically the bullpen. And you got a little bit of a question mark at one of your starting pitcher slots. But, I mean, if you're putting together Marte, Segura, Harper, Realmuto, Hoskins, Gregorius, maybe Torreyes in the 8-hole, something like that. Like, that's a pretty good lineup.
It's not bad. Lineup. You'll score some runs. I'll tell you what. There's a couple of guys on the Texas Rangers who
they are putrid.
Yeah, but there are a couple of guys on that team that I think.
They are horrible.
Well, I'll tell you what. Gibson, he'd be a help as a pitcher. He's the ace of their staff, and he's been pretty good this year. He's having a career year. He may not be.
He is a good player, but he's probably the only. I mean, Joey Gallo. I'm not interested in Joey Gallo.
Oh, I like Joey Gallo, but again, Joey Gallo is a left-handed hitter, and I'm thinking about him as a.
Well, that's fine. You can put him at DH.
Yeah, well, no, you have the fat ass Stanton as the DH. You put Gallo can play is a very good outfielder. He's a center fielder. He can give you a lot of home runs. He doesn't hit for a high average, but I think he'd be pretty good at Philly. I mean, because he can hit home runs to every part of the ballpark. I'm just thinking in Yankee Stadium with the short right field porch, he'd be really, really good. But I don't think he'd be a bad addition either.
I'd rather have Marte.
Yeah, but if you don't get him, you have to have a plan B.
My plan B would be pitching or Chris Bryant, because I'm fairly certain that Bryce Harper and Chris Bryant are really good friends off the field.
That I've heard too. I mean,
so maybe that can be like a spark for each other.
You may have to wait for the off season to get. I think he will eventually be a Philly, Chris Bryant. But I think it's going to.
All right, fine. Then let's get me Marte at the deadline, then get me Bryant in the winter.
Yeah, I think Bryant comes.
Do we have stupid money or do we not have stupid money? Just outbash everybody. You want fans to come to the game? You want production to be up at the plate? Get me Starling Marte at the trade deadline, and then go get me Chris Bryant in the winter, and then go win me a championship.
I'm just giving you a couple. Listen, I'm just giving you a couple of guys.
I understand. It's
great,
I know.
Great conversation. You guys are all National League guys. I get that, and I'm just giving you a couple of guys in the American League on a last place team who are having pretty good seasons.
Well, who else is on the Rangers?
Kyle Gibson is not a bad player either.
I get you. And he's a lefty, and the Phillies haven't had a good lefty since Cole Hamels.
Right. I think he'd be really, really an effective pitcher pitching in that ballpark. You know,
is there anyone else on the Rangers besides those two? They are a bad team.
They're bad. They're bad. Their outfielder is pretty. They have an outfielder there that's pretty good. He's on my fantasy team.
Calhoun?
No, not Calhoun. The other one. He made the All-Star team. I'm trying to remember his name now. Let me check. Who was it?
So bad that I have no idea. Like who is even on the Rangers? Like the Pirates. I know who's on the Pirates.
Well, because you guys play them. I mean, I'm trying to. Yeah,
remember. But you're an American League guy. You don't even know who's on the Rangers. Where's your team? Murderers Row.
He's on my team. I'm just trying.
Oh, Garcia.
Yeah,
Adolis Garcia.
Garcia. He's
got some pop.
Yeah, he's a nice player too. But again, you know, it depends on the fit that you have. He's not a bad player. But if I were you, I'd be looking at Kyle Gibson, or I would be looking at I'd be looking up elsewhere, you know, for pitching, because there are guys in the American League who are some pretty good pitchers out there that you might be able to get your hands on.
Philly's down 4-0 at home to the Washington Nationals right now.
Who's pitching for Washington?
Good question. I know Spencer Howard. I don't think Spencer Howard's any good. So that's another failed top prospect coming up. Joe Ross is back from the DL. This might be his first game back.
Joe Ross is pitching. Joe Ross stinks.
He was having a pretty good month and a half before he went on the DL. But
yeah, but let's be honest. Come on, he stinks. You wouldn't want him on your team.
Well,
he's not an upgrade. He's not an upgrade on your team. Let's be honest.
Spencer Howard, prize pitching prospect. Spencer Howard went 3 2/3 inning, gave up 4 earned runs, only struck out 2. Threw 31 of 45 pitches for strikes. So he lets up too many runs. He doesn't throw enough strikes, and his ERA is way too high. And then Brandon Kinsler's come in. And he hasn't done much better. He hasn't let up a run yet, but he's let up 2 hits in the third of an inning. He's thrown 7 pitches, only 3 of them were strikes.
So he's in trouble already.
He has a 6.83 ERA.
Oh, he fit right in. He fit right into our bullpen.
BD Groitz, I would keep you updated. We got 2-2 at Fenway Park between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. We
And the Mets,
have
by the way, lost the first game of the doubleheader against the Braves.
2-0 in 7 innings. Detroit, Minnesota, 0-0, bottom first. That's a play of the day there. Tigers. Maybe you can live bet it. I forgot to announce it at the beginning of the show. I also have the Toronto Blue Jays as a dog, live dog in Fenway Park. 2-2 there. Chicago Cubs up on the Reds 2-1. Second game underway in Flushing. 0-0. Looks like the Braves are threatening, though. And then
Who's pitching for the Mets that game, I wonder?
The White Sox and Kansas City just underway. Brad, Eloy Jimenez making his season
I'm
debut.
celebrating. He's on my team. He's been injured.
Oh, you got him in fantasy.
Yeah. I activated him this morning because I heard he was coming back. So I finally have him. But wow, that's gonna if he is anywhere near,
it could be a game changer for the fantasy baseball scene if he comes back and lives up to his potential.
Well, it could also be a game changer for the White Sox in the playoffs to have another bat like him. I mean, that's a huge player right there.
Yeah, it looks like the Mets, to answer your question, are bullpenning it this game.
Okay.
Aaron Lope pitched the first inning. Janoris Familia currently pitching and in trouble in the second.
From what I've gathered from Met fans, he's not the most popular pitcher on that team right now. He's kind of everybody's hit list right now.
Looks like Bryce Wilson starting for the Braves, who's actually a starter. Once regarded top prospect, hasn't really worked out for him, so he's pitching for the Braves. Let's get back to some comments here. Troy, Phillies need 2 average starting pitcher, closer, and 2 relievers, and Marte. I mean, I hear you.
You're
Troy.
not going to get all those. You're not going to get.
You're not getting on.
Not at a trade deadline. That's
Troy Aites. Thoughts on Merrill Kelly from the D-backs? He would be cheap. Not a bad name.
He's also not particularly good.
Okay, but Brad, like I talked about, we don't have enough innings. We need to add innings.
Yeah,
even if they're cheap, innings, like you need innings.
But it would be nice to at least get a pitcher who can get guys out, though.
But I'm trading my main resources for my center fielder or left fielder, wherever you want to play him, in Marte. That's my top priority, outfield. Another
guy that's available. Don't know if you'd want him. John Gray from the Colorado.
I think he's a good pitcher. I think it's hard to roll up pitching stats at Coors Field.
Yeah, he's an interesting one because
that would be very interesting to see what he would be able to do outside of Coors Field. Yeah, he's a high strikeout guy. I think he's got pretty good stuff.
He's one of those guys though that can be a scary pitcher because it seems like when he has a bad game, he's terrible and he can't keep you in a game. But he certainly would be an upgrade over Velasquez, and I don't even know who you have as your 5th pitcher. It seems like it's somebody different all the time.
Yeah, it's like Matt Moore because Eflin isn't doing anything.
Well, the loss of Eflin to me has really hurt you. He may not be Steve Carlton, okay, but he's not bad. He's always been. I know as a Yankee fan, he always seems to pitch well against the Yankees. He's always looked good against them. What's crazy is how is Nick Pivetta all of a sudden becoming a really good pitcher?
I don't know.
Red Sox, it just never seemed to work out for him in Philly. Then he goes to the Red Sox, and now he's a real good pitcher there.
Yeah, it's frustrating to watch as a Phillies fan. It is.
Yeah, I mean that's annoying to me because when he got moved there, I was like, good, a stinky pitcher in Boston, and now he's pitching well. I'm like,
all signs pointed to that being working out terribly.
Yeah,
but it didn't.
No, unfortunately, it has not. And the Red Sox, by the way, just took a 3-2 lead.
Yes, I don't even know how Rafael Devers hit that ball out. It was by his ankles. It was a breaking ball. It was nowhere. It was nowhere near a strike, and he golfed it out.
Listen, he's not going to be the MVP because everybody's going to vote for Shohei Ohtani. But you know what? He kind of is the MVP right now of the American League. If you ask
still
me.
A lot of baseball left, Brad.
Well, as of right now, to me, he's the MVP of the American League. And as much as I hate Boston, I am a realist, and you know I'm going to always give you my honest opinion in spite of my hate of the Red Sox. That guy is a tremendous player.
And right Bogarts is good too, but he's not even hitting right now.
No. But but take a look at the year. What is that? 29 home runs for him now.
20. They just showed it. 27.
27. Okay.
Otani is 30. Otani is 35.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
But the Angels aren't going anywhere.
Well, I don't know how many home runs Vlad Guerrero Jr. has, but he's got to have over 30.
Yeah, but again, the Blue Jays aren't going anywhere either.
There's that graphic. Few games to 100 career home runs in Red Sox history. 486 at bats. Only Tony C and who was the other one? Jimmy Fox up there.
Jimmy Fox played for the Red Sox? What did he play for?
Not Jimmy Fox. I meant Carly Strepsy.
Oh, Yaz. Okay.
Oh, no, it was Ted Williams. I don't know why I said.
Okay.
Ted Williams.
Don 19 is saying, Brad, I thought the Yankees was going to get a no-hitter, and then everything went down south. Well, you can ask Aaron Boone why he.
What happened there? Domingo Germán has a no-hitter through 7, and you guys lose the game having a 4-0 lead.
Right, and I am going to completely blame Aaron Boone for so many boneheaded moves in that inning that you can't even. 3 boneheaded moves. First of all, if you were going to take Germán out after giving up a hit, then you should have just taken him out at the beginning of the 7th inning and not wasted a pitch. If you were crying about that, you weren't. From what I understand, you weren't going to let him pitch in the 9th inning. So what was the point of letting him pitch the 8th inning? That's stupidity number 1. Stupidity number 2 is, in my opinion, you let the guy pitch in the 8th inning because you know how bad our bullpen is. Stupidity number 3, bringing in Johnny Loizaga for a second time, twice in 2 days, when he's coming back from COVID-19, when you have Chad Green rested in the bullpen. That's another stupid move. When you see Loizaga giving up 3 hits in a row, you allow him to pitch to a 4th batter. I mean, I can't even fathom what a stupid manager this guy is. Then runner on 3rd, no outs. You're up 4-3. And what do? You play the infield back. You bring in Zach Britton, who's a ground ball pitcher, and you play the infield back and let him score the tying run. What the hell is that? I mean, you're just what you've done. What he did yesterday completely demoralized the Yankees by doing that. You got to try to play to win on the road. You don't try to play to tie. Not on the road. Not against the Boston Red Sox. Not in Fenway Park. Boone, I can't take how bad a manager he is.
So, Brad, I would take it.
I don't understand why this guy is still managing this team.
I heard they're talking extension with him.
No, I haven't heard that, but from what I understand, they're not thinking about firing him yet. Although I know there's a lot of Yankee fans now, and it's not just me. It used to kind of be just me bitching about him, but you know what? He is just not a manager. He has no feel for the game. I just think, what did your analytics department tell you? And this is my message to Boone. Did your analytics department tell you to let Germán go out and pitch to 1 batter in the 8th inning? Or did they tell you to let Jonathan Loizaga, who's coming back from COVID and clearly didn't have it, are you telling me to have him pitch over Chad Green when he threw 18 pitches the day before and barely got out of a rocky 2nd and 3rd 1-out situation? Is that what your statisticians told you to do? Your analytics department? Because this guy has no feeling for the game.
I mean, is it kind of shifting like, I know you kind of said this already, but it seems like it's kind of shifting from just you saying Aaron Boone was an idiot to kind of everybody saying Aaron Boone's an idiot.
If you go on the Yankee fan pages right now, you're seeing all the Boone supporters saying that we have plenty of time. Yeah, from we have plenty of time to he won 100 games his first 2 seasons, and I'm sitting here saying he won 100 games his first 2 seasons because he had he had Joe Girardi's team, which was a loaded team. I could have managed that team to 100 games. I mean, it's pathetic. pathetic. And the Yankees just continue to let this guy submarine this season. And the game on Thursday, by the way, how do you let Krisky come into a game in the 10th inning? I mean, you either let Sessa pitch pitch 2 innings, or you pitch anybody else other than him. I mean, has he not been bad enough? Did you not see him, how bad he was against the Phillies? And that's another one against the Phillies. You bring in Nick Nelson in the 8th inning? Nick Nelson? I mean, did we not see Nick Nelson last year against the Phillies give up 10 runs in an inning? Okay? In your ballpark, did we not see that? Do we not remember that? I mean, Boone, are you that stupid that you can't remember things, that you don't know what happens? You ignore what happens and say, oh, well, I don't want somebody to pitch 2 days in a row, but I'll have Johnny Loizaga, who just came back from COVID, pitch 2 days in a row. I mean, this guy's a putz. That's the nicest word I could use for him. He's a putz. He needs to go. If Cashman doesn't fire him, he should go too. It's ridiculous. We can't fire our owner because we're stuck with him. But you know what? These guys are terrible. And that's why, as far as the Yankees are concerned, I don't care what they do. They're not going to make the playoffs. And if they do make the playoffs, they're going to have to play Tampa or the Red Sox in the first round. And guess what? Bye.
So the addition of Clay Holmes from the
stop
Pittsburgh Pirates has not reinvigorated
send me
the
up
Yankee
against Clay
Nation.
Holmes, and you know what'll happen? He'll walk me because he walks everybody else.
Are they going to do anything? Like, are they sack up? Because I'm looking at their schedule right here, Brad. I'm looking at their schedule.
After they get smoked by the Rays this week,
You got the Rays, and you got
but they got the Rays
with Miami. You got Baltimore, who you always seem to fare well against. Seattle's not any good, and then you got Kansas City.
Right.
Then you got to play. Then you got to play the.
But they're going to get smoked by the Rays because they're playing them in Tropicana.
Well, you know what? You got to figure out a way to win 2 out of 3.
Yeah, no, I know they do, but I'm just telling you right now, I have no faith in Brian Cashman to do the right thing.
Is there any buzz around the team right now? Like what?
Yeah, they're thinking they're talking about Max Kepler. They're talking about Joey Gallo. They're talking about Barrios. Barrios.
Who's they? The fans?
No, the fan base has been blasted by the New York media that these are the guys the Yankees are looking into. I don't see them getting any of these. I mean, listen, the only one out of the people that I've heard that I wouldn't mind having is Gallo. I just think Gallo's power plays in Yankee Stadium. I wouldn't mind having him. And if you can get Kyle Gibson, I would love to get him too. He would work out very well in Yankee Stadium. Left-handed pitchers in Yankee Stadium are always an asset, and stop waiting for Luis Severino to come back, or pray that who else is it that's going to come back? Corey Kluber. He's not coming back either. So it's got to stop. The stupidity just has to stop here.
Mike Marshall says fire Girardi. I mean, I get it. Joe Girardi has disappointed me and all the Phillies fans who thought he was smart. He's not that smart.
Well, I could have told you that, but let me tell you something.
You tried to.
Joe Girardi is Sir Isaac Newton compared to Aaron Boone. He is Einstein and Isaac Newton compared to Aaron Boone. That's how bad he is. I mean, he's atrocious. Listen, one thing Girardi was good at when he was with the Yankees was he was good at a bullpen. That's the one thing that he really, really did well with. If the Phillies had some relievers, he would really do well with that. But that's the problem. I mean, they've got to figure out their bullpen. They got to be able to do something. Just have somebody come up and spark that bullpen, because that's a real that's been a real problem for them. I mean, their bullpen lost both Yankee games.
And there's the NL East standings. Mets 3.5 games up on the Phillies. Braves 4 back. Phillies at 49-49. Mets at 52-45. The Mets are going to do something. Cold question tonight. Phillies should be buyers at the trade deadline. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. You got to make something happen.
Anybody who thinks the Mets are going to stand pat, has no clue. This is not the Wilpon era anymore. They've got Stevie Cohn, who owns that team now, and you know what? They have a chance, as I said earlier in the show, to take their foot and put it on the neck of the New York Yankees. Okay, and that may not matter in Philadelphia, and that may not matter in Washington, and that may not matter in any other city in the National League, but in New York, that's a big deal. And if you don't think it's a big deal, you're probably talking about an extra 500,000 fans that will put their fannies in Citi Field as opposed to Yankee Stadium. So a little message for Hal Steinbrenner. You don't do anything to help your team on Friday, and the Mets go out and bring in a couple of guys, okay? You have a lot of Chamber of Commerce fans in New York. They're all going to start going to Met games, and they're not going to be coming to your stadium. So you think about it and think, is it worth paying an extra $1 million penalty for going over the luxury tax? And think, is it really good business? Because you know what? It's stupid business. You know, you got to spend money to make money. And by the way, as I said, I think the Phillies, they can absolutely go ahead and do what they have to do to make this work for them. You know, it's just about it. To me, it's more about your owner being willing to take on a little extra money here. You know, that's really what it's all about. Anybody who's making some money, he can go get. It doesn't have to necessarily be a rental. If you don't have a great farm system, then take on some money. I mean, the Phillies haven't gone over the salary, the luxury tax ever. So if they go over it one time next year, they're only going to have a 20% penalty. So big deal. You know what? If there's guys out there who are a little more expensive that are going to be out there for a couple of years, go get them. You know, if they're good pitchers, go get them. They need to really upgrade the bullpen. They need to upgrade the pitching staff. If you don't have the minor league system, then get out the checkbook and do it. Because you know, one thing about Philadelphia, if you have a winner, you guys love winners, and you guys will show up when your team is winning like there's no.
Yeah, we when we do get winners, we cherish them because they don't come around that often.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, when you guys have winners, your standing room only seats are sold. I mean, you literally have to fight somebody to get a ticket. So I mean, that this owner should understand that and understand the mentality of your fan base and realize you're at 500, but by the grace of God, you're in this thing.
You're right there.
You know, don't let the Mets pick up a couple of guys and run away with this division. You can't let that happen. Not when you're only 3.5 games out. I would love to see the Yankees be 3.5 games behind the Red Sox. I would be thrilled to see that right now. But, you know, it's not. And they're not going to spend the money. I already know that. There's no way. They're not going to go over. They're going to be cheap, just like they've been all season. They've made no bones about it. Steinbrenner can lie to the press all he wants and say he'll go over for the right deal. They'll make an excuse and not have the right deal. He hasn't let Cashman spend any money or buy anybody good at the trade deadline. You know, the only time he spent money was on Garrett Cole. That's it. So, you know, unless we get lightning in a bottle from somebody who's not good that suddenly pitches well, you know, then they're dead. Plain and simple. But you guys have the opportunity right here.
Don 19, Rob, your Flyers made some smart moves over the weekend. I totally agree. And with the divisions,
I've always been a big Cam Atkinson fan, Rob, as you know. I've mentioned.
I'll tell you what, Brad,
a million times. I like him. He's one of those. He's one of those guys. He's got a really good motor, and he's always on the puck, and he is a sniper. He can score. Voracek's a playmaker, but I'd rather have a scorer than an assist guy any day of the week.
And, you know, I think the Flyers with the divisions going back to normal, with the additions, the trades that they've made.
I think they're one. I think right now with the trades, they're one.
I think they're going to.
I don't like the Ristolainen trade. He's horrible. I don't for the life of me understand why you guys got him and why you'd be happy about him. He's terrible. He makes a lot of money and he's just not good. You know, he's one of these big guys that doesn't hit, and you hate guys like I hate guys like that. You know, he's like a Brady Shea type player. You know, he'll go in, he'll get the puck, he'll skate all over the place with it, and then if somebody puts pressure on him, he'll throw the puck away, and the other team will get the puck and score, because that's kind of what he does. You know, and he had a chance to be a rock with Buffalo, and he never did anything with that team. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's more of a 5-6 defenseman. I don't think he's a top 4. And to be paying $5.5 million a year for a number 5 defenseman is not good. And hopefully he'll be better than that. I don't like that guy. I love Cam Atkinson.
And they also get Ryan Ellis as well.
Ryan Ellis, I love him too. Ryan Ellis can be physical when he wants to be. He blocks shots. He's a good offensive player. He'll, no question about it, he can play the power play. The one thing that Ristolainen can do is he can quarterback a power play, so they'll probably use him like that. And
I don't really like the Ristolainen trade either. I mean, I think I probably would have taken my chances with a first-round pick, kept Haig, and then I think they gave up an additional pick as well.
I mean, I just think that they could have gotten more for a first-round pick.
Like, it's correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like he's a very similar player to Ghost.
He is. He is.
I don't need another. I'm already at my wit's end. I'm already at my wit's end with Shane Gostisbehere. I don't need another one.
Yeah, well, you kind of. I mean, he's bigger than Shane Gostisbehere, but the problem is he doesn't hit anybody. You know, he's not a guy. He's not a guy who goes out there and hits a lot. He's like Shell Samuelson used to be when he was on the fly. Shell, he's not nearly as good as Shell Samuelson, but the reason I give you the comparison is Shell Samuelson was 6'5" and never hit anybody. And that I remember when the Rangers traded him, we were all sitting there saying, thank God, because we couldn't stand watching a 6'5" defenseman not hit somebody. I mean, can you imagine Zdeno Chara not hitting anybody?
What's the point of being that big?
Yeah. I mean, you have this advantage. You have an advantage, and he could have been feared, and he never took advantage of it. And that's kind of what Ristolainen does. I don't like the guy. Period. Don't like him. Ellis, on the other hand, outstanding player. I mean, you got yourself a solid 1-2 punch now with Provorov and him. Ristolainen, I suppose you can use him on the power play. That's the one that is his one strength. But I mean, you basically to be more current about him, I say he's like Tony DeAngelo. He can score, but he's really bad defensively, especially in his own end.
He'll fit right in then. But in all seriousness, I mean, I like what they're doing. I like that they recognize that they weren't good enough last season. I like that, you're kind of reshuffling. You're reshuffling the deck. You're getting rid of Voracek. You're bringing in a guy that is an established guy. He's kind of like the opposite of Voracek, So like
he's a high energy player. He's got
nothing about that. Probably be the least likely adjective I'd use for Jake Voracek.
Yeah, I like that. I like that trade. I like the Ellis trade. I don't like the Ristolainen trade at all. I don't understand the Gostisbehere trade. Is he really that bad that you had to give somebody a draft pick to take him? Is he really that bad?
Who's that? Sorry.
Gostisbehere. He's that bad that you couldn't trade him for a player? You couldn't trade him for like a prospect? Yeah, you had to add a draft pick to get rid of him? Wow. I mean, I remember a few years ago, everybody was thinking that this guy was going to be a real big deal, and he was a good power play guy and everything, and then his play just seemed to fall off.
Yeah, because he got paid.
Yeah, it's weird. And the Rangers, they made some weird moves this past weekend. I like the Barclay Goodrow trade, but this talk that he's going to go out, he's going to beat up Tom Wilson. Anybody who thinks that Barclay Goodrow is going to go out and beat up Tom Wilson obviously has never seen Barclay Goodrow fight. Barclay Goodrow is like a middleweight. He's a tough player. He's going to give you all he's got. He's fearless. But go back into hockeyfights.com. Got his ass kicked by Matt Martin. Got destroyed by who is it? The guy that used to play for Boston, the real nasty guy that is on Vancouver now. Can't remember his name now. But I mean, he's he's fought a lot. He's gotten destroyed by all the good fighters. I mean, Milan Lucic. He's the one I was thinking of. Milan Lucic beat him up so badly that he actually stopped throwing punches because he didn't want to hurt him. So, I mean, Gaudreau is tough. He wins a few fights, but you didn't get a guy like like Ryan Reeves. You didn't get him. So, but we do at least he's a tough guy, and he'll go out there and mix it up and play physically. I also saw a fight on hockeyfights.com, where he fought Matt Martin and he got destroyed. So, I mean, you're not talking about it. If anybody thinks he's going to go out and beat up Tom Wilson, take that out of your vocabulary. Okay. Pavel Buchnevich was given away for salary cap purposes. They bring in a hitter from St. Louis, a guy who's going to be on the fourth line who hits a lot. Don't think that was all that good a trade either. So I don't know. So far the moves that they've made, unless we're bringing Jack Eichel in here, we're bringing Kuznetsov in here. I don't know. I keep hearing rumors that Ryan Strom's going to get traded. What are they going to do for a backup for a number 2 center if they trade Strome? There's got to be some plan here. So I just don't see the plan at all. So I don't know. So far,
and are you obviously we have a new team, Seattle Kraken. They have players.
Yeah, I think they're going to stink, to be honest with you. I
don't understand why they had chances.
There were some quality players out there that they could have picked, and they went and didn't. They went and picked a bunch of young players who were aggressive, and they didn't pick up any goal score.
Now, Dave Haxtell is their coach, correct?
Yes. He never proved he could coach. He can never prove he could coach in Philly. So,
I wonder how in the world did he get that job?
Francis must have liked him, I guess. I mean, I think Francis drafted a couple of pretty good players. I mean, I like Yanni Gourde. Thought that was a very nice pickup. I like Eberle. They'll score a few goals, but if you look at their roster, I don't know who's going to score on that team. They've got some pretty good defenders. I question their goaltending. I think they're not going to give up a lot of goals, but they're not going to be able to score. They're going to be losing a lot of 2-1, 3-2 games. They're going to lose a lot of low-scoring games because they just got nobody who can score. So, I mean, unless they make some deals now, or they use the rest of their money on free agents, they're going to have a hard time. Don't understand at all why they wouldn't have drafted Tarasenko. That to me may have been the.
Why don't you just take all these guys? Take Carey Price, take Tarasenko, take Voracek.
I told you why they weren't going to take Carey Price.
I get it.
To spend $10 million on a goalie for an expansion team is ridiculous. Price is just the cost was too prohibitive. I get that, but you could have gotten Tarasenko. I understand Tarasenko, has been struggling with injuries and hasn't been all that productive the last couple of years. And he makes $7.5 million. However, he's supposed to be fully recovered now and healthy. You get him. If he comes back, you could trade him at the end of the season. If you're no good, you could trade him for again with the dog. You could trade him for a top draft pick, and that would be good for them. So I'm just not really understanding why they wouldn't have brought him in. I mean, I think that gamble would have been worthwhile.
So, who has won the off season so far? Obviously, we still have free agents.
It's still too early to tell. I like Edmonton getting Hyman. It sounds like he's going to be signed there. They were able to re-sign Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I like that move. So far, I think Edmonton's doing pretty well. Philly's done okay. I think they're, as I said, with their trades, I think they're 2-1-1. I think they won 2. They lost 1 because I can't stand Ristolainen, and I think 1 is I think they won the Ellis trade. I think they won the Voracek trade. Gostisbehere, I think it was just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I'm putting that I'm going to put that as a draw because I want to see what the Flyers do with the extra money. Okay, because that I think has to be considered too.
Now, who's the biggest fish? Who's the biggest fish in free agency?
Wow, well, obviously Ovechkin, but I mean,
is he really going anywhere though? I mean, that's realistically going to change teams. You think Alexander Ovechkin's going to be on a new team next year?
No. I think Gabriel Landeskog. To me, honestly, with you, I think he's the guy to get. I mean, he's from Colorado and he's a terrific player. He's a left wing, but he can also play center. He's outstanding on draws. He's one of these guys. He plays left wing, but when it comes to faceoffs, they put him in the faceoff circle because he wins faceoffs at like 56%. Tremendous player, big time leader. Colorado just can't afford to pay him. They had to pay him a car, which is understandable. So there's really no money left for him, And Colorado is just one of those teams. They have so much talent that you can't pay everybody. So, I mean, if you're asking me if I had a choice to sign any player in the NHL as a free agent, as a Ranger fan, it would be him without a doubt. I mean, Landeskog, to me, he's a leader. He's big and strong, scores a lot of goals. I mean, he would be perfect for any team looking for some offense and looking for some leadership. And as I said, he can either play center or left wing. And he actually would be a perfect player.
Now we have about a few minutes left on the show. Flight Zone coming up right after this. Keep it locked in. Monday lineup here on A2D Radio. Don't forget to become an A2D member. $9.98 a month. You get gambling picks from the Money Pop podcast, special content, merchandise discounts, all kinds of fun stuff. Visit A2Dradio.com to figure out how to become an insider member. NBA draft Thursday, Brad. Kind of a big night for a lot of big market teams. I have my eyes on the Celtics. I have my eyes on the Sixers. I have my eyes on the Knicks. I have my eyes on the Lakers. I have my eyes on Dame Lillard. I have my eyes on Bradley Beal. It should be a very entertaining night of behind-the-scenes maneuvering on Thursday at the draft. And I'm praying to Daryl Morey, please trade Ben Simmons. Take a diminished return. Get this guy out of town and just go forward from here. And if that means that, you go backwards a little bit in the win-loss column, remember, this team pretty successful in the regular season. So I can sacrifice my wins if I take a diminished return.
It's not about winning the division anymore. It's about winning a championship.
But the Sixers aren't close to winning a championship.
But they're
no closer to winning a championship now than when the process started.
The diminished return could win you a championship if you get the right return.
Yeah, this team needs a two-guard. Because I can't start Seth Curry at two-guard and expect to win a championship. That's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And he's a nice player. He's got some skills, and I think he'd be a great bench player.
Yeah, he'd be good off the bench. But again,
and I feel like I can take a diminished return for Ben because I really believe in Tyrese Maxey, your first-round pick last year. I think he can step in and be the starting point guard. I really do. But, you got to get me a pick and a two-guard to play alongside Maxey. Or you can get me a power forward. You can get me a power forward or a swing man to play with Joe and Tobias. Because if you get a good, solid small forward, you can put Tobias at the 4 and play small. Or you can get a gritty power forward and put Tobias at the 3.
Where does Bradley Beal and Dame Lillard end up?
Nowhere.
You think they're going to both stay on their teams?
I think Bradley Beal will definitely stay. I would be excited if I were Bradley Beal to see what I could do with Russell Westbrook and that team down there with a full off season and some chemistry behind them, because they're not a bad team. They're not a bad team. They have definite pieces to be decent there in Washington. And then Dame Lillard, I don't know. He's not coming to Philly in a trade centering around Ben Simmons, and a return around Ben Simmons. And if I have to give up Simmons, Maxey, Thibault, and picks, I'm not doing that, because that doesn't put me closer to a championship. I know that's not the sexy thing, or that's probably goes against popular opinion, but a big three and nothing else of Lillard, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid, that's not gonna win you a championship. Sorry, that's not a better team than the Nets. That's not a better team than the Bucks. It's not a better team than the Suns. We'll see what the Lakers do. Obviously, the Clippers are, a little down and out because Kawhi is out probably for the majority of next year. And then, you have teams like the Hawks who aren't going anywhere. You have the Knicks who are getting better and better.
And the Knicks have $50 million in salary cap.
And 2 first-round draft picks.
So, yeah, the Knicks are in a position where they can definitely better themselves.
A very deep draft on Thursday. Very deep draft.
And what's going to be interesting is that, there really weren't a lot of scouts to watch some of these guys. A lot of these guys are not, have not been seen. So if you're drafting a little later, like the Knicks or the Sixers, you can get a gem late in the draft. There's no question.
I think you're right. I think the Sixers have gotten 2 gems in the last 2 drafts. They got Matisse Thybulle, who I love, and Maxey, who I love. I think Maxey's a $100 million player in this league. That's my opinion. That's my opinion of him. I love him at Kentucky. I was ecstatic when the Sixers picked him. I think he's the real deal. I think he can run your team at the point guard position. That's why you can trade Ben. Just get him out. Just get him out. He's a clown. I love these delusional Sixers fans that think he's practicing and cares about his game right now in the offseason. He doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit.
He's a spoiled brat prima donna who's just going to show up and be the same Ben Simmons that we've seen his whole career.
I think a good spot for Ben Simmons, quite honestly, would be Golden State. Because then he can get the ball and he can pass it all the time to Steph or some of these.
I would trade Ben Simmons for Andrew Wiggins and the 7th overall pick in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that might. I mean that.
In 5 seconds, because here's a name for you. My favorite guy in this draft, whoever gets him is going to have a stud. So obviously, I desperately want the Sixers to get him. His name's Moses Moody. He's a 6'6", 6'7" two guard
We're gonna write this down, and we'll see where he
out
ends
of Arkansas. The guy can fill it up. He can shoot. He can get to the. He's got size. He's physical. I think he's going to be a big time scorer.
I've seen his name in the Knicks news that they think that they might be.
Yeah, but the draft is so deep though, Brad, that he can go for anywhere from 4th, no, probably 5th to 25th. Just nobody knows. There's just that many players that are benched.
There's some chatter with the Knicks regarding Cleveland's point guard. I can't remember.
Colin Sexton?
Yes.
I love Colin Sexton. I think he's a terrific player.
Would he be a good pickup for the Knicks?
Yes, he would be a good pickup for anyone. If you can get Colin Sexton for Ben Simmons, that's another trade I would make in 5 seconds.
From what I understand, the Knicks have been trying to get him. Cleveland wants Barrett back. That's not going to happen.
I mean, you're kind of with a rock in the hard place there because you have Sexton who's good, and then they have the 3rd pick this year. So, you got to think that they're trying to, build around Colin Sexton. Because then if they trade Colin Sexton, then you're just like the Pirates, who I roasted earlier in the show.
I don't think they're going to do that. Any chance the Knicks, if the Knicks try to sign as a restricted free agent, our boy from the Pelicans there, I can't remember his name.
Ingram or Zion?
No, not Zion. The point guard.
Oh, Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo Ball. Thank you.
I guess that could be.
I've heard
Pelicans
a
are
lot.
weird. I don't really understand the trade they just made today.
That seemed like a pretty
It
good
was-
trade, though. No, I mean,
I didn't really look. Oh, let me bring it up here. I can
I thought that was a good trade for both teams. Honestly, I mean,
Associated Press via Yahoo. Okay. Let's see who you got. Memphis Grizzlies have agreed to trade center Jonas Valanciunas in exchange for point guard Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams. Okay, so Steven Adams and Bledsoe go to play with John Morant, and Chunas goes to
the Pelicans.
play with Zion and Ingram.
Now, are they going to keep Ball?
The trade first report by ESPN sends New Orleans 10th and 40th overall picks. So New Orleans gets the 10th pick. They move up 7 slots, but have to move back in the second round.
Yeah, but I'd rather move up the 10 slots up to the 10 from 17.
I don't think that's smart, though, in this draft. Unless you have a guy that you really, really, really like.
They probably do. I mean, you know, when teams move up in the draft, they usually
After the fourth
rely on
pick,
somebody.
so it's going to be Cade Cunningham, point guard, Oklahoma State, to the Detroit. Then I would imagine that the Rockets will take Jalen Green, point guard, didn't play college basketball. He played in the G League. He just looks like a basketball player. He's going to be able to score at will in this league. He's of the Kevin Durant, like prototype, lanky basketball scorer type guy. Not saying he's going to be as good as Kevin Durant, but
what happens to John Wall then?
Well, he'll play point guard. This guy will be two guard.
Okay. Oh, okay.
He's 6'8". He's long and lanky, smooth as silk. I mean, he's a lot of. If you have a chance, go look him up on YouTube.
I will.
He's rather good. And then you have Jalen Suggs. Obviously, he's out of Kentucky or Gonzaga. Excuse me. Obviously went to the Final Four, hit that shot in the Final Four over UCLA, and Evan Mobley out of USC, who's a center. So that's your first 4. And then from like 4 to 25, it's just a total. You can make an argument for, 20, 30 guys to be picked in that range. Let me pull up a mock draft here.
Well, if the Knicks could get a guy like Emmanuel quickly at 25.
Well, the Knicks are very interesting because this is a draft where you can get 2 guys and you don't have to have 2 top 10 picks.
No, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, the Knicks are at 19 and 21. Is there any chance you think they could move 19 and 21 and get into the top 4? Because you pretty much think the top 4 are locked in.
Yeah, but they're such good prospects that, especially the top 2. Like you're not getting the Pistons to give you the first pick to get Cunningham. You're not getting the Rockets to give up, in my opinion, should be Jalen Green. But, I mean, who knows? I don't think that's enough. And then I think Jalen Suggs, I wouldn't be doing that trade for Jalen Suggs too. Maybe if the 4th team is staring at Mobley, you can maybe make something happen. But I don't think that's enough for those top 4 guys in the draft. That's just my opinion. That's my assessment of it, though.
But they certainly could be a team that could move up in the draft, being that they have 2
You
picks.
can move up for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're getting up as high as the top 4. I think that's asking a lot.
Okay, just throwing it out there because I don't know. I asked you because I know you're the more authority than I am.
You can get 2 good players. What do you have? 19 and 20. Here, I'm bringing the mock draft up right now. So this one has Cunningham, Green, just like I said. And they have Mobley 3rd. Okay. And then I'm sure Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs is 4th to the Raptors. Then you have a guy like Scotty Barnes, 5th. Yeah, I'm not on that. I'm not on that Scotty Barnes. I think that's too high for him to go 5th. Jonathan Kuminga, he's foreign, or he's from the G League. I don't know much about him. James Bouknight, 7th. That's not a good pick. He should go much later than number 7. He's not the 7th best player in the draft. Guard out of Connecticut. He's like a bench guy. He's like a little bit better version of Matisse Thybulle. And I wouldn't be spending the 7th pick in the draft on that at all. Can't shoot. Josh Giddey, I don't know much about him. He's a point guard from Australia. He's foreign. Franz Wagner is interesting. You remember when we had Phil Martelli on, he would always tell us how good he thought Franz Wagner was. So he's going to be in the draft this year. Let's see who the Knicks have. Davion Mitchell. He can shoot. He can transport the basketball. He can maybe be a backup. I don't see him as a starting point guard in the NBA, though. Ty Jones is a project out of Texas, a big guy. And you got guys like, Keon Johnson, Zaire Williams out of Stanford, no. Moses Moody, they have Moses Moody going 15th in the draft right here. That's my guy. Averaged 17 points, 6 rebounds.
Maybe he'll fall to 19. That would be nice.
Like Jalen Johnson out of Duke. That's a little bit of an interesting name. There's a guy out of Kentucky I'm interested to see. Oh, if you can get your hands on Cameron Johnson, 6'4" freshman out of LSU, that's who they have the Knicks taking at pick 21. That would be a tremendous selection. 6'4", 2-guard, average 23 a game in the SEC.
That would work. That would work.
And there's a center out of Kentucky, Isaiah Jackson. He's 6'10".
I don't think the Knicks would draft him. I think Robinson. I think Robinson right now. I think they would trade Robinson. There have been rumors about Robinson going for Towns and the Knicks throwing some picks Minnesota's way. We'll see about that. That's another one of those rumors that probably some Knick fan threw on the threw up against the board to see if it would stick, and then some of the guys on Twitter have gone with it. So we'll see. That's another possibility.
BJ Boston, he's a projected second-round guy. I like him a lot out of Kentucky. So there's players in this draft. And the players I don't know a lot about because they were foreign or played at smaller schools. That doesn't mean they're going to be bad. Like Quentin Grimes at 25 out of Houston.
Yeah, especially the foreign guys, Rob. With the COVID thing, a lot of these guys were not scouted the way they've been scouted in the past. So you could have some big surprises out there with some of these foreign players.
But I need a 2-guard. I need Ben Simmons out of town. We're going to get up on out of here. 9:15, Flight Zone coming up in just a few minutes. Keep it right here, locked in on the Monday lineup here at A2D Radio. Monday morning quarterback starts around 5 o'clock, concludes right when we go on. Then the Sports Hounds take you from 7:15 to 9:15. Then you get a little break, get a drink, go to the bathroom, and Flight Zone takes you home throughout the rest of the night, roughly 9:30 to 11:30. If you miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us in podcast form, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Huge shout out to Philly Drinkers, phillydrinkers.com. Click on the A2D Radio section. Get your tank tops, get your T-shirts, get your hats, get your tumblers for the beaches. We got all that crap right there. phillydrinkers.com, A2D Radio collection. Thank you to our sponsors, Sunrise Detox, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy. Thank you for those who commented and shared the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on. Don't miss anything here at A2D Radio. Until next Monday, he's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Peace out, everybody.